things.
I think it's like unique. Everyone's got their own path, man. Everyone's got to find their own way. And for some, man, they might need a lifelong, dedicated yogic meditation practice, and another person might not. You won't know until you go do it. Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin, back again, your favorite spiritual analysts, helping you to better connect with this divine yet somewhat peculiar reality we all find ourselves in. We've got another Sadhguru one on the docket. You guys love our Sadhguru videos.
Sadhguru.
This was a request. This was the science of accessing forces of the beyond.
What is he the equivalent? I said Osho is the Axl Rose of gurus. What is Sadhguru?
Or in the equivalent of rock stars?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a lot of pressure.
I don't know either, so I don't know. In the comments, which rock star is Sadhguru?
Oh, jeez. All right, well, here we go. The science of accessing forces of the beyond.
In other cultures, all of them are dismissed as angels. But here, different quality beings have been identified as different types. You call for a particular being for a particular kind of benefit, so that you have an advantage of achieving things much more than you would do by your normal strength and capabilities.
There you go.
In this tradition, we have various kinds of beings. They are all particularly identified according to the…
Yeah, I love the artwork.
That's Hindu stuff, isn't it?
I think so. I could be wrong. Let us know in the comments. Forgive us. And I think he's making an interesting point about in a lot of other faiths, they've got you've got angels, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got like a whole boatload of different beings out there to help you along your journey.
Cool.
So I think that's what he's saying.
quality. We have humans, and of course the animal nature and all those things that you can see around you.
Elephants are so cool.
Those beings that you cannot see, there are some which we call as Bhuta Preta category.
Bhuta Preta. Scary looking.
There are other beings that we call as Yakshas. There are other kinds of beings that we call as Gandharvas.
Remember that band in the 90s?
The Gandharvas.
The Gandharvas.
Yeah.
I just learned where it came from.
Which looks like a horse-headed being or something like that. Something equine.
And there are Devas. So based on this, there are tree gods, there are monkey gods, there are elephant gods, there is fruit god, there is vegetable god, there is flower god. For everything there is a god.
He just said there's 3 gods, and then he listed off 7. So yeah, I'm confused, Sadhguru.
Maybe he means there's 3 types of gods, like monkey gods, elephant gods, and…
Yeah, but then he went into flower gods and…
Right.
I'm just confused, that's all.
Yeah, me too.
Is this all figment of imagination? No, it is… Everything is happening because of certain forces. They identified these forces and personified them and created a method as to how to find access to them. So these yagnas were processes through which you can find access to certain forces in the existence so that you have an advantage of achieving things much more than you would do by your normal strength and capabilities. The word yagna has been translated as sacrifice. So the English word sacrifice you would always understand as giving up something for something else, or giving up something for nothing. That's a sacrifice, okay? Giving up something for something else is commerce. Giving up something for nothing is sacrifice.
Have you ever given something up thinking that I will give this away and maybe it'll come back to me in tenfold, and it did?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I, to this day, try to practice a kind of general charitableness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's that's good karma or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Do you mean like, I'm going to give this as a sacrifice, expecting the specific thing, and then it happened? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, kind of treating it like a law of the universe. Like, if I do give, God will return back to me.
You have a specific thing?
In my old days, I used to think like that. And I feel like, I always felt like when I did give, I felt like I received back.
Right.
By following. And I wonder if there's like that is a law of the universe, that if you do give, you'll get something back.
Lately, I've been trying to...
Or maybe it's not the best way to look at it. Like, I'm just doing it to get something back.
Well, no, I don't... people have done all kinds of crazy stuff in the heart of sacrifice. I mean, if you go back to the Aztecs, they were like cutting off heads to God with sacrifices. Yeah. So is it so bad to think that if you're a good person and you do some nice things that you get something back? I think there's worse things to think. But I'm not sure... I'm not sure how... When I'm charitable nowadays, it's almost like an experiment. It's almost like, I'm just going to try to be good and be charitable in this way just to see what happens. And then, part of me thinks that part of the reason why you want to be good or charitable in life is because then now that's going to affect your own psychology. You're like, there's good in the world. I know there's good in the world because I do good things. Yeah. It's like if I do it, then there's probably other people that do it. And also,
that's a good positive way.
We're human beings, man. Like, if you're healthy, sometimes I feel like people make this mistake of comparing themselves to extraordinary people that are like psychopathic, like not a normal human.
Yeah. Us,
the masses, we feel empathy. We care about each other. We get sad sometimes when we see somebody else that's sad. So when you're like being socially responsible and caring about others, it's like, I think it's good for your self-esteem. I think it's good for your own spirit, if you will. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on.
So yagna need not necessarily mean a sacrifice. Probably yagna is a combination of an offering, an oblation, and a sacrifice. It's a mixture of all these three things. A ritual through which you can please certain forces in the existence. In other cultures, generally they have not been properly identified and classified. All of them are dismissed as angels. But here, different quality beings have been identified as different types. And accordingly, you call for a particular being for a particular kind of benefit. There is a whole process and science behind it. Even today, people are using these yagas and yagnas. Generally, for a lot of them it may not work because it's not being properly conducted the way it should be. But for many people it does work. There are many people who are hugely benefited by these things. People do achieve what they want to do in the material world by using yagas and yagnas in a certain way. Even though it doesn't matter how educated they are and how much liberation they talk about, even today.
So I feel like two things I got. He was talking about kind of like sacrifice, but I think he was also talking about performing ritual. He said ritual, so I'm getting two things now. And this is called like the science of, right? So maybe what his claim here is that if you do these things, you can like observably see that you will get a result.
Yeah, well, I mean, give it a try.
Yeah.
Do the thing and see what happens, right? That's like, it's amazing how bold of a claim that is. That you'd be like, go try it.
Yeah.
And then, because I feel like maybe I've experienced that, and I think maybe you have too.
Yeah.
That's how you started meditating, wasn't it? You were like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. You tried it, and then you were like, yeah, there's some results there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. 95% of the Indians, if they want to enter a new home, they will do yagas and yagnas before they get in. Only here at Isha we don't do anything because they are a different breed. If you're in a certain level of consciousness and energy, everything that you do is a yagna. You don't have to do a separate ritual. The very way you live is a yagna.
That's me.
So yagnas are of different kinds.
No, but think about what he just said there for a sec. Sorry to pause.
He was talking, now he's so, I feel like we've got three things. We've got like rituals, offerings, and now like living your life as a good person. I think.
As a yagna.
Yeah.
And so you're the very way you live is
Yeah. Is the thing that produces or gets you the results that you're looking for. And I don't know if these yagnas, like maybe you guys can help us out and point us towards like the 4 different types or like different gods, or maybe those were the ones that he listed at the beginning of the video. So we're having a hard time kind of putting it all together, but we're doing our best.
We've watched a bunch of different religion stuff today.
We're all messed up.
Kind of blending together.
Yagna means a certain means to access a dimension which is right now not in your access. One is a ritualistic yagna, that you perform something, an expert in the field comes and does something for you through which you receive some benefit, or you have made your very life process into your yagna.
So yoga, that's like a practice, right, I guess?
Now you sit in the morning and you're doing your Shakti Chalana Kriya or your Shambhavi Mahamudra. This is an internal yagna.
What happens if you're the type of person that's like, say you come across some guy that's like got medals for doing yoga, like he's like, oh, I know what I'm doing in that field, and then you come across some like jackass like me who like sits down for 5 minutes and is like, that was great. I feel like I like went up a level from that, and they're like, you couldn't possibly have. You know what I mean? Like, is there an opportunity there for everybody to keep their egos in check? Yeah. Why is it frustrating?
And why would it? I think it's also funny. Like it would be hilarious to be angry at someone. Like, say it took you 10 years to, arrive at full, yoga master, and yet someone else sits down and achieves it in their first sit. Should you be angry at that person for being able to achieve that?
Well, it's not like there aren't stories like that. It's not like there's stories like Eckhart Tolle's story is, he was in like a bad place, and then he the next morning he woke up and he was like, didn't know what was going on, but he was enlightened, and then went to the nearest temple or something, and they told him, it sounds like you're enlightened. And he was like, whoops, and then he like learned about it, right? I don't think that's a good. I'm not like suggesting anything.
Yeah.
Was just thinking about the fact that sometimes I sit down and I'm not the most dedicated meditator or yoga practitioner, but I'll sit down sometimes and do it, and I'll feel like it was pretty good. I'll be like, that's a pretty good one, And then I just imagine somebody whose dad is like militant about it, like, no, you have to do it exactly this way. And then I think about my own life in all types of different ways where it's like, I don't know, man. If you go listen to Osho, does that sound like his attitude? Like, you gotta do it exactly right. Osho so often seems like he's like, chill out, relax. Have a different approach to things.
I think it's like unique. Everyone's got their own path, man. Everyone's got to find their own way. And for some, man, they might need a lifelong of dedicated yogic meditation practice, and another person might not. You won't know until you go do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue.
Without that sense of offering, you will never know the essence of that practice. If you make this a process, it's a very powerful yagna through which things happen in the world. Not just for yourself, things will happen around you beautifully. We have been saying constantly, if 1% of the world can become meditative, the remaining 99% will just pass very easily. Because if 1% of the world really begins to function, every moment of their life, their very life process is a yagna. If they become like this, the 99% will reap the benefit without doing anything about it. 1 person plants a mango tree, 100 people can eat it. 1 person cannot eat what comes out of 1 tree. It takes 100 people to eat it. So similarly, if you have made your life process itself into a yagna, if you have made your life process itself into an offering, then thousands of people can eat out of it. you would see simple...
Is he talking like fruits of your labor? Is that what he's talking about?
All I kept thinking was, what if everybody had that attitude? You know, like you turn your life into a yagna, and then you're a fruit tree. You know,
people are just blessed by being around you.
Right. But like, you know, it sounds like a pretty specific person.
Yeah.
Type of person.
Yeah. How many people do you know that, like, when you're around them, you feel blessed that you're just able to be in their presence?
Some. I know what that's like, you know. Yeah. There's some people that are just pretty friggin' likable. You know?
Yeah.
Woman, just they made their life into total sacrifice for people who live around them in their families. They just cook, they serve, they never thought about themselves. What about me? Never came to them. You see, they are sage-like by themselves. My mother was a living example like this. She was educated enough, but her whole life was just serving her husband and children, that's all. Never we heard her telling us, I love you. But such a question never arose. Whether she loves me or not never arose in our minds. Because the very way she lives is in complete sacrifice for everybody around us. And nobody ever uttered anything about it, but in many ways, she was a goddess by herself. Everybody treated her as such. If she has to eat her morning breakfast, everybody in the family would have eaten. Then she will take a part of her breakfast and go to the backyard. She will look for anthills, you know, nest of ants, and she will feed all the ants first, and then only she will eat.
Yeah, so I think he's just making, through the story, like a point of love is that it should be obvious.
Sounds like a remarkable lady.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of mums are like that, right?
I know.
It's
Maybe
like
that
a mom thing, right?
I was gonna renege on I know a lot of people that are pretty likable, and then I was thinking, but you're right. There's a lot of moms that are just kind of like that,
who just do their thing and put in work, and they don't say anything. They just do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, think about like every like major holiday and every stuff like that. All the like they're running around getting everything ready, doing all the work.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of dads too, man.
Yeah.
A lot of dads that sacrifice their whole damn life, you know, working.
Yeah, working 16-hour days so they, they can pay the bills and do what they got to do.
Yeah, man. And like, think of how like just friggin', it's actually kind of common. Yeah. It's kind of common, all this sacrifice everybody's doing. Yeah. Right? Why do we get fixated on some of the negative things sometimes? Oh, that person's such a gossiper, or this person's such this. It's like, yeah, well, they also like lost a ton of sleep taking care of their kids, or fucking been at the same company for 15 years.
Yeah. Doing something they hate.
I don't want to shit on somebody that doesn't do any of that stuff either, though. Like, it's almost impossible not to do some kind of contribution to society.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty hard.
In today's mind, people may think, feeding ants, what nonsense. Spray insecticide, isn't it? If it came into the house, if it bit her children, she also did that. But somewhere in her mind, she felt the ants have as much right to live on this planet as she had. And just that little offering, everything is a sacrifice, everything is a yagna.
Well, there you have it, the science of accessing the forces of beyond.
And then in the end, her son grew up to be Sadhguru.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what happens.
I mean, you can.
Not everyone's going to grow up to be the next Sadhguru, but
yeah, but I mean, it's like it's part of the chain of events.
Yeah. So I don't know. The biggest thing I take from that video is that you're gonna have to run the science experiment yourself to find out whether or not the things that he's saying are true.
If anything, I'd say part of the thing is that sometimes people get burnt. Right? Like some people will be sort of naively giving or generous person, and then somebody take advantage of them. And then they're like, never again. You're like, they get like their heart hardens over because of the trauma that caused. Right? What do you do about that?
But maybe that has more to say about how you went into that situation. I don't know. Maybe it's, it sucks to get screwed over, obviously, but
I'm telling you,
maybe
man.
if you go in, maybe it's impossible to get burned if you go in with the right, mind and attitude. I don't
That's
know.
a big maybe. That's a big maybe, because I would wager that there are people that are like, no. I'm telling you, I was completely a victim.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, like, I feel like that's been my situation before. Like I was too naive, man. And then I learned a harsh lesson about how things can happen when you're like that.
Yeah. Well,
But I
guys,
came back. It's not like I don't care. Decided to go some bad way with it.
let us know what you guys think about that. What we might have missed in that video. There's a lot there, some complexities and maybe some things that we're not totally sure about. But if you did like this video, don't forget to smash the like button, share this with a friend, subscribe, and everyone, until next time, stay spiritual.